Hello, beautiful soul. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Kathleen, and you're tuning in to Blooming Lotus Healing Art. This is a place where you find spiritual guidance as well as tools in your path of self-healing. So today you're tuning in into Blooming Live, which is specifically a talk show that I host live with everyday people like you and I who share their experiences through their spiritual journey. And the purpose of this is to inspire you, to give you hope, to give you a mirror for you to have that beautiful energy to receive and to hopefully move forward to other people. So today I have this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful person that I met through a group, a women's group that's called Rose Gold Goddesses. I met her online, and I immediately just fell drawn to her. Just felt like she was just somebody who embodied so much of the positive traits that I believe are, sometimes felt like it was impossible for me to embody that. And she herself just kind of embodies all of those positive traits that I feel are important in a woman and also on a human being. And she's also doing this by paying this forward, by coaching other people, by helping people activate their healing abilities in the DNA level through different embodiment activities. So I attended a couple of her circles, and I felt like there was so much connection even with her ancestral roots, and it helped me even in my journey during this time in this crazy pandemic. So I feel like it's an important thing that I share her with you guys, because I feel like you will feel so much of her energy and her loving motherly energy. I just feel like she's like embodies a mother in a way. So if it's your first time watching this, make sure you subscribe to my channel. If you're watching this from YouTube, if you're watching this from Facebook, make sure that you turn on the notifications so you know when I go live next. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring in my beautiful queen, Leonies. Hello, sister.
Hi. Thank you.
Welcome.
Welcome me here.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to have you here. And like I was mentioning earlier, when I first met you, I met you through Rose Gold Goddesses. And, it's a beautiful sisterhood community. And, of course, the people who tend to go to that place are people who are kind of like in the journey, right? In that spiritual journey, people like us.
Yeah.
But something that I found along the path is that sometimes not everybody is really embodying this. You know, some people want to try to do this, but it's kind of like it's a journey, right, to get to that embodiment part. So that's the reason why I wanted to bring you in here, because I wanted to find out about your journey. What was your journey and your spiritual? Like, I'm curious to find out. Like, tell me about you and how you got started and the story behind Leonis.
Yeah. Thank you so much. First of all, I want to say that was such a beautiful introduction. So feeling very honored for that. And yeah, my journey has been, it's been interesting, to be honest. Sometimes you start looking at your own journey and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know I went through all this. But everything started like when I was a kid that was always curious. Like I will question a lot of things. Even when I was with my parents, and they separated. You know, they separated when I was really like really young, like maybe when I was 1 month old or something, very young.
Oh, wow, you were young. Yeah.
Yeah, so I always have been between going to visit my dad and then visit my mom. So I was being like in two houses kind of thing. And also that means like two backgrounds, two religion backgrounds as well.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this. Wow. That's intense.
That's yeah, it's really that's why I'm saying it's really interesting. So with my mom, she's more from the Catholic kind of Catholic Christian background,
Okay.
and my dad is more like the you could say more like philosophical and spiritual kind of vibe.
Okay.
So when I was living with my mom, because I was living with her for like 15 years, and then I decided to move with my dad. Living with her, you know, and being into like Catholic churches and other churches, is I will always feel like something. Like I will feel connected to God, right? Connected to whatever they were praying for, but there was always like missing pieces here and there of like, what is it? There's something here that is missing here. Like I feel it in my soul. Like I will
Mm.
feel it like in my
Yes.
soul. That was something like, something is not resonating. So yeah, and then after a while, you know, of going through self-discovery and really getting to know more about my spiritual side, I discovered what was really missing. And then living with my dad was another part, another layer of me getting more into my spiritual journey, because he cultivates into this kind of truth that he calls Tao. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's a beautiful practice, and from that practice I started developing my own connection to the universe, connection to myself, connection to God, but from a very different angle. And it was just like very interesting, the combination of living with both, with in different, you know, times. So I guess that was kind of like the beginning stages of my spiritual journey. But to be honest, I think that when I started really awakening was when was like in 2017. So in 2017, something really crazy happened in my family. It was that I discovered that my mom got diagnosed with cancer, and
Oh.
that kind of flipped my whole world upside down, because you know you never expect those things to happen to you. Like you hear it outside, you hear it from other people, but like you never expect that will happen to you, people around you, you know. So it's very, when I received the news, that actually was her that she told me after Christmas. She sit down with me after church, and she said to me that she was having cancer. I was like in
Mm.
shock. It was a total shock. And after that, I started becoming very like obsessed with wellness. And like that obsession with wellness kind of brought me to a state of like trying to look for more answers for like, what is it? How can we cure cancer? How can I help her? You know, like looking for things that could help her. At the time, I was in fashion design. I was finishing my career. I mean, my schooling in fashion design, in fashion tech design. That's how we call it.
Okay.
And I even came up with this prototype of integrating essential oils into the garments
Oh, wow, that's
as an
interesting.
inspiration. Yeah, as an
Wow.
inspiration for her to help people who are going through that kind of disease. So it was really like, it was really intense those times. And even during those times, I remember that I was awakening even more to like seeing numbers. Like I was seeing numbers. That's when I started seeing numbers, because before I wasn't aware of what is like repeated numbers.
Hmm.
Seeing feathers on the floor. Like I never had that connection before. Like I maybe was unconscious, but like I started like paying attention to those little things, you know. And I was like, huh, something is happening here.
Oh,
and
wow, that's amazing. Yeah, I
and
love
like
that.
and like something inside of me was like, okay, let me look more into this. Like I started looking on Google, what is 333? Because I was seeing 333 a lot. And then I started seeing that there's our angel messages, and I was like, wow, angel messages. Yes, I feel so connected to angels. So, and yeah, it's just like, you know, just to kind of keep the story short, it's just like from that point I started getting more conscious about my own wellness, how I was, you know, treating myself, nurturing myself, my habits, the thoughts that I was having, and all those things. And I started getting more into Kundalini yoga.
Okay.
That's what really brought me to another level of awakening, because through Kundalini yoga, I was like, wow. It was just like a vibrant energy flowing through me that was just like putting me into this sense of awakening even stronger, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so it was just so profound. And then from there, you know, meditation, and then kind of tapping more into like my intuition, because I always had that connection with my intuition, but it was not very conscious. It was very like, ooh, you know.
Yeah, it was kind of like on and off.
On and off,
Yeah.
exactly. But then I started receiving messages, like I would see synchronicity here and there. Like it would just, everything would just started to like make sense in a way and align. And I was like, wow, this is incredible.
Wow, that
So
I mean, when I hear your story, I see one thing that it really brings to my mind, the fact that you had two parents that had such a different way of viewing their spirituality. And I think that's such a beautiful thing because it's almost like I feel like your spirit almost chose these parents for a reason. Like you needed those two elements to bring those two viewpoints, so that way you could have a broader understanding of spirituality. Like that to me is such a beautiful thing. It's almost like it feels so guided when you were telling me the story. It just feels so guided the whole time up until where you are now.
yeah.
So that's amazing. And the Kundalini. So for those that are watching who are not necessarily aware of what Kundalini yoga is, I know I've practiced. I've tried practicing consistently. I haven't, but I know that there's a lot of breath work involved and certain positions. So is that something that you were doing? You were doing that combination of the breath work and
Mm-hmm.
the different positionings and everything. Okay.
Yes.
So
And meditation.
and the meditation, right? So for those people who might be wanting or looking into starting that, do you think that they can do that on their own, or do you recommend that they find like a teacher or something? How did you do it?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I will definitely recommend to find a teacher, because first of all, these are things that are very new to people. Like to this kind of generation too.
Yeah.
So this is also a very ancient practice, but you need the support and guidance, because these kind of practices are very life changing. And when you're dealing with energy, it's good to really have a good like a good background on how to actually use these energies, because Kundalini can actually block you if you don't know how to manage that Kundalini in you. So
Okay, that's interesting. That's
yeah,
interesting. Yeah. So
I
that's probably
found,
what happens sometimes. I've noticed that certain people talk about how they're going through an awakening, but then they're kind of stuck. I've heard that a lot. That they
yeah,
then end up having to find somebody to help them kind of get unstuck.
exactly,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly.
All right. So you were gonna say something. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. What I was saying is that I found these beautiful ladies, and they have well, actually, we were sharing about it before the call, but their name is Britt and Tara. They're from Elevate the Glove. They have a Kundalini yoga community, and it's beautiful what they do. And it's very, like, when I first met them, I felt super connected to them. And just by connecting to them, I was like, wow, this work actually helps me a lot. So finding people that resonate with you and whatever you feel called to do, it can also help you empower you more.
Right. And I think also when it comes down to your path, I think everybody's gonna find something that works for them. For example, it sounds to me like Kundalini was uh called you. It was something that called you and you resonated with, but there's so many other ways that people can maneuver this
Mm-hmm.
their journey. I mean, I know for some people they go to shamans, or they end up doing medicine, plant medicine, or they do different modalities, and but they still kind of like, I feel like they still arrive at the same destination in a way, like
Exactly.
so like even through meditation, pure meditation, some people do that as well. So it's like there's so many different ways, I feel like, that are valid and important for us to acknowledge and embrace.
Yeah.
Especially, and one thing that I really connect with you in regards to going, I went to Catholic school myself, so I grew up Catholic, and I also felt the same, like literally that you were describing me as a kid. Okay. I was like, okay, cool. I'm connecting with God, but there's something kind of off. I need something else, and it felt like something was off for me, because I needed to, I guess, foster that experience of connecting with God directly without having like somebody in the middle. I think that's what really was for me. For some people it might work, but for me, it wasn't necessarily calling me as much. And I think that's the reason why we have so many modalities, is because
Yeah.
everybody, that's the beauty of the universe. Is like we have so many paths that that are valid, and we can, and whatever resonates with you, you go for, and it works just fine. And
Yeah.
we're still gonna meet in the middle. We're still, all of us, we're gonna meet in the middle. So it's like no
Exactly.
big deal. So I think it's important to recognize that as well. It's like the different paths will lead you to the same destination
The
regardless.
same destination. I agree.
So
Totally.
let me so you were saying that, of course, when you were doing the Kundalini yoga, this was life changing. But I think there's an element here that I want to really unpack, and is living in integrity. I think that
Mm-hmm.
if there's something specific with Kundalini yoga, there's certain things that you, or like maybe like a code of conduct in a way, or like
Mm.
a, I mean, I don't want to say like there's rules and regulations and the 10 commandments. I'm not saying that, but there's like certain things that you want to kind of follow, so that way you can support the process of Kundalini awakening, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, what was that process for you to maybe, you know, I want to say transition yourself into living into that integrity, within that, within that code of conduct, or I don't know how to call it, but that code.
Yeah. So basically, what I started doing was a program. So they have a beautiful program. It was like a 8 weeks program. It's called Rise Up, and
Okay.
in that program, we will work every week in a different chakra. So I was working from like all the chakras, from like the root chakra, the sacral chakra, so each chakra. So every week was like a progression, and that way felt more like in integrity than if I were to like do it on my own and trying to figure it out. Like, oh my God, how am I doing this position? I'm doing this way, you know. And also, the way they do it is very like like the connection that they have with Kundalini. It's also it's coming from like the origin connection, because they are kind of, they studied the yogi, what's it called, the yogi, it was like the yogi guidelines that they use basically.
Okay.
So it's really good to kind of have that guidance, because they, and knowing that where they're coming from and where they study from, because that way you feel like more in integrity with what you're doing as well. So that was really important to me too.
So I wanted to ask you, so with the because this is focused on the chakras. Was this something that you did with prior, like the chakra system? Is this something you already were kind of inclined to connect to prior to entering the Kundalini yoga path, or was that, or were you introduced to it when you were in when you entered that? How was that for you?
No, really. What was the guidelines was just basically to whatever was feeling called to do this work, to, you know, get part of the community and start doing it together as a community. And as I said before, it's just like working week by week on different chakras. So it was just more connected to chakras.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was just that.
Okay. So another thing that I wanted to ask you as well is, how did you start? How did the journey of embodying your best self? Like, tell me a little about what is it that you do, like practicalities of everyday things that you do to help you stay in integrity with your values and embodying your, your beautiful, and that that you are. You do, like, tell me what's your everyday like step or weekly, or what would you invite people to do that would be kind of like simple as well,
Yeah.
but what you already practiced?
Yeah, so movement. In a simple word,
I love
movement,
that.
because movement is connected to your body, and it's like you start moving parts of your body, you start also unlocking a lot of parts of you that have like a inner kind of ancient wisdom within yourself that we haven't dig deeper into it. So it's a way for me to really find out what's really happening with me, with myself, when I move. But honestly, I didn't know this until I started doing Kundalini yoga. Because
Oh wow, okay.
a funny story was that one time when I was doing one of the chakras on the weekly basis, we were working with the throat. We were working with the throat chakra, and one thing that I really remember very clearly, and I can never forget, is that I was sitting there doing that position, and I received the clear message: dance meditation. Like that was
Oh
like the
wow.
path that I needed to start getting into, like dance meditation. And it felt so like, whoa. It was like one of those things that you're like, wow, where this voice came from, like what's going on. But at the same time it felt so subtle and so like, yes, I feel this, like it's true. So yeah, so dance meditation started to be the thing that I started to do more,
Okay.
along with Kundalini yoga as well. And also I was adding like essential oils, because I love essential oils, and I teach about essential oils as well. That's another thing.
I didn't know that. Cool. I love that.
Yeah, so putting all those elements together, I started doing more of dance meditation, and like sharing this dance meditation with people around me, because I was always
Wow.
passionate about dancing, but I didn't see it as a way of healing, if that makes sense. Like I never thought that dancing, just by dancing you will heal. That was
Wow.
very new to me at that time. So just really getting into your body can really help you like awaken a lot of things within yourself, and also your, you know, like the chi, like
Yes.
the energy flows through different parts of your body too. So when you're moving, you're actually moving a lot of energy all simultaneously. So you're working with a lot of energy at the same time. And connecting to your intuition too, it makes it even stronger. So when your intuition is strong, your body knows what movement to do, basically. So that's something that once I started getting into ecstatic dance, that's something that I also experienced, because after receiving that message, that's when I started like opening myself up to go to ecstatic dance
Mm.
events, and going to like places where they do dances and medicine, movement medicine and events and stuff like that. So that's where I started gaining more remembrance
Of
of
that.
that. Yeah.
Have you ever heard of rhythms? It's a form of ecstatic dance. I don't know if you ever done it. I recently participated. Well, when not that recent, it was a couple months ago. I did have somebody in the past. She came over on talk about five rhythms, and she had some really extreme experience. She and she lost her son to a car accident, and thankfully she already had a five rhythm, which is a kind of ecstatic dance, but I guess it's a little bit more it's structured through the music. And she was mentioning how that's what kept her going, and now she's a space herself, so she shares this with other people. But I can see how you're saying there, because it truly is. And if for those who are watching on the replay, if you want to go back and go and watch the explanation of five rhythms, if you've never been and you're curious about it, I thought it was kind of interesting, because ecstatic a little bit more. I don't know if it's as structured or not, if it's more like free for all in regards to the movement and the music. But this one kept one that I participated on was more. It felt more structured, but she wasn't telling me how to dance or anything. I was doing my body, but she was kind of holding space, creating, I guess, a mood for me to move through and move forward. And at the end, I mean, I just felt amazing at the end. I mean, there was a moment there that I needed to cry, which I did tear up a
Yeah.
little bit. I didn't know what I was crying about. I didn't even think it was just, I guess, something to be released at the moment. So I can see totally what you're talking about, being able to use movement of healing and activating. And something that I found so interesting. So you talk DNA like DNA healing, like on the DNA level. So do you feel like that's what movement is doing, really activating you at that DNA level? You don't
Yeah,
have to know
totally.
exactly where you're going. It's just like like your body's just gonna know what to do, like what to release, to activate, right?
Exactly, totally.
Wow.
And it's like you're you're in a state of awareness that your brain, it's all connected. Your mind, heart, body, soul, it's all one. It's like no separation, it's just all one. So it's just like it makes it even more like powerful when it's all together, because when you are healing in the now, that's when true healing happens,
That's
in the
amazing.
present.
Oh my gosh. I love that. That's one thing that I wanted to mention too, is that, you held space for, I participated in one of your circles where you held space and with another sister. And it just felt like, so that's another thing that I feel is that you have this, I want to say native connection, to it's a very indigenous connection that you have with mother and your roots. And I think that really shows forward a lot of the things that you do. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like how have you been connecting with your roots?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we were talking about it a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah. So that's why I
So
wanted to share, because it's important. Yeah.
yeah, I honestly, I come from Dominican Republic. I don't think I share it here, but I am originally Dominican, and there's a lot of in our culture. There's a lot of indigenous tribal background, and I always felt very connected to that, even when I was a kid. But I don't think that it was so emphasized as I was growing up. So as I was doing my spiritual journey, and when I got into ancestral healing, because that was last year that I got really very cold into ancestral healing. That's when I started getting more in tune with cacao.
Yeah,
Cacao was,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
like, yeah, cacao was something that I remember going to an event, and I saw that there was cacao there, and I was like, I need to go there. Like, I felt it in my body, like, I need to be there. I don't know. I didn't know anything about cacao. I didn't have any experience with cacao before, but I just felt the calling to go. And once I got there and I experienced cacao, it's like, oh my God, just like a lot of memories, cellular memories started to like arise. Just like it just felt like I was connected to something bigger than myself.
Hmm.
And like going to Colombia very recently too opened me to this connection to my Taino backgrounds as well, because there's a lot of resonance with Taino in these countries, in Colombia, and also in Venezuela,
Yeah.
in the Dominican Republic, in Brazil, like those, all these places, Mexico too. It's like this area was all colonized by Columbus, right?
Yeah.
How was life before Columbus? Like I just
Yes.
started like reflecting back and kind of even feeling my ancestors in that when how life was for them, like the simple life, just like all living in community, how we were all living in community back then, and we were all just happier. And
Yes. Oh my God, I agree.
yeah, and people weren't like living with so much stuff, like they didn't have the capitalism where you need to buy and get so many things, like they weren't filling up themselves with material things, but they were more spiritual, and they will connect through dance, through voice, through, just
Through
storytelling.
storytelling, yeah. And I feel like
Yeah.
that's so needed right now, connecting with our elders and connecting with, listening to their stories of wisdom and listening to their stories of, of just, their knowledge and their stories and the history of the tribe, of the people. Like, I think that's something that absolutely need. And yeah, I mean, I feel you. I went to Mexico 2 years ago, and I went to Mexico City, and I went to Tacan, to the pyramids. And I can tell you, Leonis, how much I felt like I was sitting on this ground. It's so powerful. And even though it wasn't necessarily my tribe at the time, I come from a different tribe, but just that energy was such I think that catapulted my journey as well, of really wanting to connect with that energy. And yeah, so that's amazing. I feel we've been through very similar experiences in a way, like expressed differently, but I feel like we've been through very similar experiences. I'm grateful for that because oh my gosh. Okay, so our question. So you said body movement, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when you talk body movement, can you clarify, like, what is it? Like any body movement? I can just turn on some music and like just keep going? Do you feel like there's got to be like some sort of structure that I have to follow, or they're trying to embody their, or at least get that activating
Yeah.
of their bodies?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, no, actually, there's a little bit of structure, but it's not so much, because it's more about letting the body flow with it. But definitely, breath work, it's gonna
Okay.
help a lot. So, like, I always invite, um, my clients and people who come to my events to like really tap into their breathing. So really tap into the breathing first, kind of having that connection and that rhythm with their breathing, and then starting to move their bodies with that kind of breathing. So that makes the whole experience more in alignment, and helps you to like channel through whatever you need to like receive in the moment or listen from your body, you know, so kind of guiding them into a safe space.
I love this. And it's kind of interesting with breath work because we don't really think about breath, but it's such an important tool in our lives. We kind of like, we're breathing all the time. We're not really paying attention to our breath, at least when you're not conscious about it. We're not necessarily paying attention to our breath, but it really is something that we connect to be able to unfold whatever it is that lies behind that breath, right? It's almost like that the stepping stone. And I also noticed Kundalini yoga, the breath is part of it. Breath it's a huge Kundalini yoga too. So it's kind of interesting. It's almost like always part of like every modality that I've seen out there. It's almost like that centering tool that people need to use to get themselves in that position to where they can continue their journey of healing or unfold that journey of healing. So yeah, I love that you're saying that, because I think we have, I'm finding out, the more I talk to people and the more I learn about all these modalities, the more I realize that there's so many things that are like the same, like very simple things. They're just expressed differently, or they're maybe they're different techniques, but they're kind of going back to very simple ways of doing things to that there, it doesn't have to be that complicated. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't have to be that complicated. We can complicate it more than we should. So what I wanted to ask you too, I'm gonna put you on the hot seat here.
Oh.
What do you struggle with? What do you struggle with at this time? Because of course we're all on a journey, so I'm sure there's gonna be thing
of
out there.
Yeah. So at this time, what am I struggling
Yes.
with? So I'm working now with more like opening myself to like pleasure and my womb space, because that's one of the parts that I feel that I haven't been tapping into very much. So really, really like allowing myself to be more sensual in that regards.
Oh,
to
wow.
Yeah. So it's like accepting myself fully in all aspects.
Yes.
Because also another layer of shadow that I realized that I was carrying, it was this kind of people pleasing and this kind of like feeling that I was not good enough. Like that label of feeling I'm not good enough is always being one of the things that I've been working on as well. And I feel that is also related to another shadow. It's like shadow by shadow.
Right. All the layers, right? Onion is the onion of shadows.
The onion of shadows is sexual trauma, because I did experience sexual trauma with a relationship a while ago. That was like 5 years ago. So just going through that and healing that sexual trauma has been huge as well. So, and I know that I still need more support to like work through it, but now I know that with that awareness, I know that where I'm heading, and just give more ease and grace to that healing process.
Honor you for sharing this, and I think it's important. So grateful that you're sharing this with us today, because I think as women we don't really speak about this enough, really open up about this enough. And I also experienced sexual trauma in my path. And and so I honor you. I honor you, because I've been through it, and I think that's important that we speak about this. And it's kind of interesting. Just yesterday, I was watching like a little on Instagram. This girl that I follow, it's called Yoni Licious. And I highly recommend her. She's awesome. And she had a post exactly about this, about giving yourself permission to feel pleasure in all aspects. So she's of course more in the sexual part of things, but I
Yeah.
think sensuality is in every aspect. In food, it can be in, just in the sensation, and that you're feeling. But the I thought interesting because we don't really give ourselves permission to feel that, because there's also this shaming part that I've noticed, that
The
I've felt
shame.
the
Yeah.
shame, right?
There's a lot of
So it's like,
shame.
oh, if I'm feeling pleasure, if I'm too open to pleasure, then I'm not, that I'm not, like the angel I used to be, because there, especially us like Latina women, have this, I'm sure you've experienced this, like, oh, it's not what you're supposed to do, you're supposed to be like this, like pristine, I don't like this, I don't do this,
The
and
good
then
girl.
the
The good
good girl
girl.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So I think I'm so grateful that you're opening up about that, because that's something that I felt very strongly about. A lot of my work, a lot of paintings that I have back here, they're all I literally painted my, like, so many times, it's not even funny, like, but I was just like really obsessed with it, because I felt like it was something that I needed to process through, and I didn't know how other way to do it but through painting. And then through that journey, I also found self being guided to use, self pleasure way of processing all of these emotions. And I did, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like it was all guided, but there was a lot of release and a lot of crying that I went up by doing this work. So, giving ourselves permission to feel that, and to know that we have the right to be completely sensual beings, just like men do. We have that right too. So, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful you share that. I'm telling you, we have a lot of things parallels.
We have
I
very
swear, it's not
very
even funny.
similar
I mean,
experiences.
it's insane. So okay, so I really love that you share that, and I wanted you to, so just to kind of, we're landing the plane now, and I just wanted to kind of open the space for you to share about your offering, and the medicine that you're offering for people. Tell a little bit about what you do, and so that way they can better understand what is it that you give and offer, and that if you can unpack that a little bit, so that way they can hopefully come to you if they feel called to.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So what I offer now is basically one-on-ones. I'm offering one-on-ones for people who wants to really step into their intuitive power, really to learn how to trust their inner voice. Because for me, that's been my process, and I know exactly now how to guide people through it. And like your inner voice, I always say, inner voice is like our GPS. It's like
Mm,
that guidance
yes.
system that you can trust, and like it's always gonna give you the message that you need when you need to make a decision. Like sometimes we feel very overwhelmed, we feel like we don't know what to do in our lives and confused, but knowing that you have that GPS within you and trusting that GPS that comes from source, from God, it's a practice. So I really want to support people into their intuitive power, and that way they can also become a channelers of their own
Mm.
medicine, and help other people as well, and awaken their soul gifts through that. Because a lot of my soul gifts were awakened just by me receiving that, splurge of guidance that I've been receiving. So yeah, I do that. So I'm actually launching a this program on October 29th. So October 29th is going to be when I'm going to be launching it. So if anyone feels called to step into their intuitive power and learn more about themselves and trust themselves in the process and heal, because a lot of this work also is going to help us to heal a lot of baggages in the subconscious. They're welcome to come.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. I'm so grateful that you step into your medicine, and you're sharing this with buddy, with all of us. I think that the work that you're doing is important. It's helping so many people, and for every person that you help, you're helping so many others. And that's the beauty of this work, is that it's a domino effect. It truly is a domino effect, and it affects
Yeah.
the entire planet. we may not see it, we may not really, connect to it at the moment because we're in this 3D reality, but really it is. So I'm so grateful that you've done that. Thank you, dear light worker sister, star sister. Oh my
Star
goodness, Lord.
sister.
Yeah, I know. It's like, wow. One thing that I wanted to mention as well is that you have a Instagram, and I don't know if you have a webpage that you want to share with people. So, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so I use mostly Instagram. So it's
Okay.
Soul in Nation. So it's actually soul align underscore action. I don't know if we can write it somewhere
Yeah, I'll
here
put it on
as
the.
well.
I'll put it on the. I actually have it on the. I think I put it on the description, so I'll put it on there. So, so that's basically where they can reach out to you, right? Directly through there.
Or Facebook, Leonis Arias as well.
Okay, I'll put that.
And I don't have a website right now per se, but I'm working on it, so it's coming soon.
Okay.
So
Okay.
once it's all together, I'll also share it with you.
Okay, no problem. But it's okay. I mean, Instagram, just DM her or send her a message on Facebook and she'll be able to help you out. So, well, Leonis, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, for sharing, for being vulnerable, for being the person that you are. And I feel like this is not even enough. Like, I feel like people need to see you again. So hopefully you enjoy this enough to where you'll come back and some more, maybe once you get some more of that journey folding with your with those circles that you're doing this month. Hopefully we can get you to come back and maybe share some of that experience and maybe some other things that you have gone. So thank you so much for just being the light that you are. And I'm so grateful that I paths with you. And I hope that for those of you who are watching this, it felt like you were connected to what she said today. You feel like you would love to connect with that alchemy of dancing and movement, then you definitely want to make sure that you connect with her. She is the embodiment of love and mother. Like, you will fit all around. So I'm telling you, you'll be in for a treat. So, well, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching from Facebook, make sure that you turn on those notifications and like this video or share it with somebody you feel might get something out of it. And also let me know in the comments if you got something out of it. If you have any questions, also let us know on the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer those later. And if you're watching from YouTube, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And again, the same thing. If you have any comments, suggestions, or ideas you would like to see in these bi-weekly lives, let me know. Thank you so much, Leonie.
Thank you so much for your time and for
Namaste.
inviting me here as well. So very grateful. Grateful for everybody who's here as well.
Okay.